I mean, the go-to is rejection, right? Guys are just naturally afraid of rejection, right?
Okay.
And what I found through my time working with guys is that they just lack emotional intelligence, right?
Okay.
They just do. But it's because they also lack emotional experience. So
Oh, whoa,
all
whoa,
you
whoa, whoa. That's wait. Say that one more time. I really want you to emphasize this for a moment.
Yeah. So they lack emotional intelligence, and that is because they lack emotional experience.
Wow. That's now that I haven't heard of it in that way, emotional experience. All
Yeah.
right, let's play with this one.
Yeah. So
Um,
I'm gonna use simple numbers just to give you an
okay.
idea of the comparison between the gap between
Okay.
a woman's emotional intelligence and a guy's emotional intelligence, right? So at 18 years old, let's just say you're going to a college, and that and you're choosing, well, you're out there, you're socializing, and you're relatively attractive, right? Like, eh, eh, not using any scale, but let's just say you're just an attractive woman,
Yeah.
and you're going out, let's say between the hours of 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., right, on Friday and
Okay.
Saturday.
Okay.
Now, chances are, if you're out at a bar, or not a bar, like a house party, or you're at another person's place, and there's a lot of guys there, and you're mingling, you're probably going to be approached anywhere, on conservatively speaking, let's say 5 men in that 4 hour period, right? You may not be attracted to any of them, but they're going to approach you because you're attractive. They're going to shoot their shot, if they will. So that's 10 guys a weekend between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., right? So 8 hours a week, 10 guys a week. If
Okay.
that let's say theoretically you were exposed to that every single week, right?
Okay.
So that's 520 men a year. Now, by the time you're 28, that's 5,200 men who have approached you, right? I'm not even
Yeah, but you
including.
see, but well, okay, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but
That's
I do
okay.
want to let you know my audience is a bit older. So we've got
Yeah.
an older demographic. And by the way, I need to make a correction on something I said. I did say people between the ages of 30 and 69. I got some blowback. So any human over 30 years old, correction. But let's think about this for more like, like that 40-year-old, not the 20-year
Yeah.
old.
Well,
Is the
I'm gonna.
40-year-old
Yeah.
woman really getting hit on that frequently, or the 50-year-old woman getting hit on as frequently?
That number will start to decline after the 30 year mark ish,
Okay.
right? Depending
Okay.
on your lifestyle. But I'm really just kind of explaining the gap in
Got
intelligence
it.
here, right? And so that's 5,200 people by the time you're 28. By the time you're 38, let's say that number goes to somewhere around 8,000 men, right? So
Okay.
in 20 years, you've been approached by 8,000 men. Now, I'm still talking about between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. I'm not saying that you're going to be 38 years old out during those hours, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to point out 8 hours out of 168, you're being
yeah.
approached. You've been approached by over 8,000 men. I'm not talking about when you're walking down the street, living your life. I mean, so it's so much more than that. Now, let's contrast, right? 5 guys approach a woman in one night. Well, that one guy is probably approaching maybe that one person that night. So that means they're probably approaching 2 women that weekend, which means they're
Okay.
only approaching 100 women in a year. And by the time they're 28, they may have approached 1,000 women, right? So now we have a woman who's approached 5,000 times, and a guy who has made the approach 1,000 times. Now, I don't know about you, but I have yet to meet more than maybe a dozen men who've been actually able to make over 1,000 approaches. So the numbers are actually even smaller
I've got
than
game
that.
and I don't even have that kind of number. And I've been around the block for 50 plus years.
Yeah. So
Well,
I'm
I
just
think
speaking to that gap of emotional experience is just so vast that guys, it's very difficult for guys to figure out what they need to do in order to create a connection. Where women, they're, because of natural exposure, they intuitively know what's going on. They can intuitively sense if a guy's just not for them, or if a
so.
guy's not legit.
So, one of the questions I ask on my application for coaching is on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how easily can you get a date? And most women say 7, 8, 9, or 10. I mean, they don't have the problem getting a date. They might have a problem getting the kind of date they want, but they have no problem getting the date. I think what you're saying is for men, and I mean, let's be clear. If you're a man who's 6'2", great physical condition, you've got a bit of money, you know, you got a fair amount of money, you got six-pack abs and a chiseled chin, and you look like George Clooney, for argument's sake, you know, you're not going to have a problem connecting with women. The reality is the average person on a scale from 0 to 10 is a 5. Okay, I mean, that's just what average is, right?
Yeah.
Are you saying that I think where you're going is the average guy doesn't even get up to bat? Okay, so where I'm coming from is this. I believe there are men who are thirsty for relationships, but they're swiped by.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, is that a true statement?
This is the disaster of the dating market. And so guys who aren't willing to approach or have the confidence to do so or have the skill set to do so, they're going to resort to online. Now, the problem with that is they can plan and, you know, kind of shape up how they're going to communicate, and it might actually work because they have time, they're not on the spot, they can actually create a good dynamic. But then when they get together on that first date, that's where they get exposed for the most part. And I mean that, I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that like those gaps.
You mean their lack of emotional experience is exposed. And so,
yeah,
you know what? Is that a woman's responsibility to educate a man on emotional experience?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely not. So for any of the women who are paying attention, it is not your responsibility. It is a man's responsibility to get his stuff together, to be in position to attract and chase you. I think it's so important because, you know, I love women. When I used to work with women, a lot of them would tell me, you know, I see the potential in this guy. If he just did certain things, maybe I can encourage him to do so. That actually just doesn't really work because he's not learning anything. He's just basically responding to behavior that you're kind of validating on his end. And then it creates a weird, you know, codependent relationship where he needs validation all the time to know if he's doing the right thing or the wrong thing, and he has zero independent thinking or, you know, kind of going back to what we said, that emotional intelligence to actually know what he should be doing in the first place.